Today, we're diving into a truly game-changing book, Daniel Kahneman's Thinking, Fast, and Slow. We're going to pull back the curtain on the two systems inside your brain that are at this very moment shaping every single one of your thoughts and decisions.
So let me start by asking you a question. Are you really in control of what you're thinking? I mean, you probably think you are, but what if I told you there's a powerful, automatic, and usually invisible force that's really pulling the strings?
All right, so to really get what's going on inside our own heads, Kahneman suggests we think of our mind as a sort of play, with two main characters running the show. And those characters are called System 1 and System 2. Now, these aren't, actual things you can find in the brain, but they're a fantastic way to think about two totally different ways our minds work.
Just look at how different these two are. System 1 is kind of the impulsive hero of the story. It's your gut reaction, it's lightning fast, automatic, and totally intuitive. Think about how you instantly recognize a friend's face. That's all System 1. Then you've got System 2. This is the careful supervisor. It's slow, it takes a lot of effort, and it's all about deliberate, logical thought. You know, like when you're trying to solve a tough math problem.
The thing about System 1 is that it never ever shuts off. It's constantly scanning the world around you, feeding a nonstop stream of suggestions, feelings, and impressions up to System 2. It's where all our snap judgments come from.
All right, you want to feel this for yourself? Let's try a quick experiment. Look at this image. I want you to go down the column on the right and say the case of each word. Is it upper or lower case? Don't read the word itself, just say the case. Go ahead. It's hard, isn't it? You can literally feel the two systems fighting for control. That's your automatic System 1 screaming lower, while your effortful System 2 has to hit the brakes and force out the word upper. That's the battle right there.
And that feeling of effort, well, it brings us perfectly to our next point. Because it turns out, one of these systems is, for a really good reason, kind of a slacker. So, System 2 is supposed to be the grown-up in the room, right? Its job is to check the homework of the impulsive System 1. But here's the thing. System 2 is lazy, really lazy. Deliberate, focused thought takes up a ton of energy, and our brains are basically hardwired to save energy whenever they can.
And honestly, this setup is usually super efficient. It lets us get through the day making thousands of small decisions without our brains just melting down. System 2 basically just rubber stamps whatever System 1 suggests, and most of the time that works out just fine, but not all the time.
And this is where things get really interesting. See, System 1 has these built-in glitches. Kahneman calls them biases. These are predictable, systematic mistakes that our intuition makes over and over again in certain situations. And because System 2 is so lazy, these mistakes often slip right past the goalie. To show you just how powerful and sneaky these biases can be, I want to tell you a fantastic story from Kahneman's own life. It's all about a group of pilots and a very wrong idea about praise and punishment. So, picture this. Kahneman is giving a lecture to a room full of Israeli Air Force flight instructors, and he's explaining a core principle of training, that rewarding good performance works way better than punishing bad performance. But then, one of the most experienced instructors in the room stands up, and he says, "With all due respect, you're wrong. My experience tells me the complete opposite. When I praise a pilot for a perfect landing, they almost always mess up the next one. But when I scream at a pilot for a terrible landing, they almost always do better." So for him, the conclusion was obvious, right? It was based on clear evidence from his own eyes. Yelling works, praise doesn't. You can just feel his System 1 connecting the dots and serving up a simple, compelling story.
But was he right? Was his System 1 telling him the truth, or was there something else entirely going on that his intuition was completely missing?
And this is the twist. The instructor hadn't discovered some profound truth about motivation. He had simply run headfirst into a statistical principle called regression to the mean. It sounds fancy, but the idea is actually pretty simple. After any extreme performance, good or bad, the next one is just much more likely to be closer to the average.
Just think about it for a second. That pilot's amazing landing, that was probably the peak of his ability. So whether the instructor praised him or said nothing at all, his next landing was just statistically likely to be, well, more normal. And that awful landing, that was a low point. Again, whether he got yelled at or not, his next try was probably going to be better, just by drifting back to his average skill level. The instructor's brain created a neat story about cause and effect when all it was seeing was random chance.
Now, this story isn't really about pilots, is it?
It's about all of us, and it gets to the absolute core of what Kahneman wanted to give us, a new way to see these glitches in our own thinking.
As Kahneman himself put it, his real goal was to improve the conversations we have every single day. He wanted to make our water cooler talk, our everyday chatter about decisions and choices, just a little bit smarter.
You see, the real power here comes from having a name for the glitch. The moment you can look at a situation and say, that sounds like regression to the mean, you've taken something confusing and turned it into a recognizable pattern. And once you can name it, you can start to deal with it.
Now, let's be honest with ourselves. It is way easier to spot these thinking errors in other people than in ourselves. But Kahneman's idea is that if we all start having this smarter conversation, this intelligent gossip, it actually pushes us to turn that critical lens back on our own thinking.
So, what's the big takeaway from all this? Is it that we should never trust our intuition? No, not at all. Our gut feelings are incredibly powerful. The goal is just to become a smarter user of your own mind. It's about learning to recognize the situations where your System 1 is likely to get it wrong and knowing when it's time to pause, slow down, and wake up that lazy System 2.
Which leads me to one last question for you. As you've been listening to all of this, which one of your systems do you think has been doing most of the work? And which one is in charge of your thoughts right now?